and welcome again to my channel Self-Study with Vaidehi Patel. I am your educator Vaidehi Patel, and today we are going to do crop production and management, a very interesting and a beautiful chapter. So I have already uploaded the part 1 of the chapter, so if you haven't watched that, then do watch it and check it out so that you can connect it in a better way. So now let's start with our second agricultural practice, which is sowing, right? Okay, so let's begin with sowing. Okay, so what is sowing basically? So sowing is nothing but a process of planting seed in soil in order to grow any crop plant, right? Now, when we sow any seed, it's very important that we do a very good selection of seeds, right? So, quality of seeds is a very important factor that determines the crop yield, right? So, we always want the seeds which are healthy, right? Which have very good quality, which have high yielding, and which are free from any insects or any diseases, right? So, how can we separate good healthy seeds from the bad and damaged seeds? So we can simply do this by a very simple activity, is that we can put all the seeds in water. So when we put all the seeds in water, the damaged seeds, these bad seeds which have insects, which have diseases, they are hollow from inside. So they will float, and the good seeds, they will sink in the water. So this is how we can differentiate that these are the good seeds and these are the damaged seeds. Okay. Now, how will we sow the seeds? So there are two traditional methods or any traditional practices, and there is one modern tool which we use these days. So let's start with a very interesting and a very traditional practice, I would say, which is broadcasting. So what we do in broadcasting is that these people or the farmers, they have the basket and they scatter or they spread the seeds. So for example, I have one basket with me and I have all the seeds in that. And now this is my land. So I'll take a fistful of seeds in my hand and I'll spread it wherever I like. Okay. So this is how, like in these pictures, as you can see, this black and white photo or this modern photo, see these are the people who are scattering the seeds. But when we do this, what happens is that these seeds, they fall anywhere. Like for example, they are falling in these region, but they are not falling in this region. So what will happen is that these seeds, they will fall anywhere. So we do not know the exact location, right? So we'll not be able to give that which seed is where. So we'll not be able to give proper nutrients or proper water to all the seeds. The second traditional tool which is there is a funnel implement tool. So in this tool, as you can see, this is a funnel. Okay, this is a funnel. As you can see, this is a funnel. Now there are all the seeds in this funnel, and this funnel will have 2 to 3 tubes. And the end of this tube will have these sharp blade or sharp ends, I would say. And these sharp ends, they will dig the soil properly. For example, this is a sharp blade. It will dig the soil properly and it will place the seeds in the soil. So in this picture, you can see this is a funnel, there is a tube, and here they are digging the soil and they are placing the seeds and they are sowing the seeds. So the seeds are filled into the funnel. They pass down through 2 or 3 pipes having sharp ends. These sharp ends pierce into the soil, that is they dig the soil and they place the seeds there. So this is 1.2 figure A, traditional method of sowing. The modern tool which is very, I would say, popular these days is seed drill. So what is seed drill basically? So seed drill sows the seeds at proper distances and proper depths. Okay, when we were broadcasting or when we were scattering the seeds, we don't know that are the seeds placed properly, are they at proper distances and depths, or they are uniformly sown. So what it does is that it prevents overcrowding. So if a lot of seeds are here at this place and there are no seeds here, so these seeds will compete for nutrients, compete for water, compete for sunlight. Whereas this land is empty. So we can have this seed drill and prevent overcrowding. Also, it ensures that seeds are covered by the soil after sowing. so that it prevents the damage caused by the birds. It also saves time and labor. But what is one disadvantage of this modern tool is that it's very, I would say, costly, very expensive. So most of the farmers cannot, have this because it's very costly, and only for sowing we cannot buy such an expensive seed drill. So what farmers do, they have this funnel implement, they do broadcasting, they do seed scattering. The next method of sowing is transplanting. So before starting with transplanting, I would just ask you a very simple question, is that what is nursery? So nursery is nothing but a place where young plants and trees are grown for planting elsewhere. So it acts as a repository of saplings. Okay. So what we do here is that instead of direct sowing into the seed, in tubs, all the crops, they are grown very close and in a very congested manner. For example, this is the rice crop. As you can see, it's very congested and nicely it is grown in one tub. Then after that, when it is properly grown, we put them in the soil where we want to, have the crop. So this is how we have this. So we have completed soil preparation, we have completed sowing of seeds. Now let's come to adding manures and fertilizers. So nutrients that are supplied by soil are required by plants for their proper growth and development. If you just think that if you do fast for 1 week or for 1 month, will you be able to survive? No, right? Because you need proper nutrients, you need water. So it's the same for plants. Plants are also living organisms. So they also need this all nutrients, they also need water. So these nutrients are given by the soil because roots, they, take all the nutrients and give it to all the parts, the leaves, fruits, flowers, everything. But if there are no proper nutrients given to the soil, then the plant will not properly grow, right? So if we continuously grow the crop in any one soil for, 5 years, 10 years, we are growing, a lot of crops. Continuously we are growing crops. Then what will happen? That the soil, all the nutrients will be there, they will deplete. The soil will not have any nutrients. So there will be depletion of soil nutrients. So in order to prevent this, farmers add manures and fertilizers to replenish. Replenish is nothing but to plan again, to make again the soil nutrients. So what are manures and fertilizers? They are nothing but the substances which are added to the soil in form of nutrients for the healthy growth of plants. Okay. Now here is a small activity done. There are 2 tubs, I would say 2 big tubs. And one tub, there is a tomato plant which is fertilized. That means it has a lot of nutrients, it has manures, it has fertilizers. Everything is given to that particular fertilized tomato plant in this picture, as you can see. So it has a very rich growth, it has very good yield, it has very strong plants. But in the second tub, you can see this is an unfertilized tomato plant. So it has very poor growth, less yield and weak plants. So here is you can see that how manures and fertilizers are so important for plants for their proper growth and development. Now let's learn about manures and fertilizers in great detail one by one, right? So manure. So what are manure? So manures are nothing but the organic substances which are obtained from the decomposition of plants or animal waste. So in this picture you can see this is a plant waste or kitchen waste and this is animal waste. When we decompose them by microorganisms, when microbes decompose it properly, when we mix them together, we get organic manure. So this is manure. Now farmers dump plant and animal waste in pits at open places and allow it to decompose by some microorganisms. The decomposed matter is used as organic manure. Now this organic manure can be prepared at anywhere, right? In 6th standard you had done one activity in your textbook. There was one activity where you had to prepare manure, right? So the organic manures, they can be prepared anywhere. And farmers dump these plants and animal waste in pits and they allow it to decompose and the manures are made. Now what are the advantages of manures? So first of all is that it enhances the water holding capacity of the soil. The soil will be able to hold more water, right? It will also increase soil aeration, that is the flow of air in the soil, which will make the soil porous, which leads to exchange of gases to become easy, right? It also increases the number of friendly microbes in the soil, and it also improves the texture of the soil. Okay, this is done. Now let's come to fertilizers. So fertilizers are nothing but inorganic chemical substances which are added to the soil to increase its fertility. The fertilizers, they are produced in factories. Okay, some of the examples are you have ammonium sulfate, you have NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, you have potash, you have superphosphate, urea. These all are the fertilizers. But when we do excessive use of chemical fertilizers, it decreases the soil's fertility, right? Which leads to soil and water pollution. So we should always do judicious, that is whatever amount we need. We should not, dump a lot of fertilizers in our soil, in our crops. So we should always do judicious use of fertilizers. Here is a quick differentiation table of manures and fertilizers. So manures are the natural substances which are obtained by decomposition of cattle dung, human waste and plant residues. Plant residues basically means the parts of the plant. Well, fertilizers are the inorganic salts which are prepared in the factories. On the other hand, manures can be prepared in fields or anywhere you can prepare manures. Manures provide a lot of humus to the soil, while fertilizers do not provide humus to the soil. Manures are less rich in plant nutrients, while fertilizers are very rich in plant nutrients. Now, if you have forgotten that what is humus, then here is a quick definition of humus, that what is humus. Okay, now what are the methods to replenish the soil nutrients? So there are two main methods. The first method is crop rotation. So what we do in crop rotation is that we grow different types of crops alternatively. For example, we grow one leguminous plant, or leguminous crop, that is for example beans or peas. These all are the leguminous plants. So we learned in class 7 nutrition in plants that there is one rhizobium bacteria which exists in the root nodules of the leguminous plants, which does nitrogen fixation. So it converts nitrogen into its soluble form, right? Because plants cannot take nitrogen directly which is there in the air. So this rhizobium bacteria helps the plants. Then we can grow one grain crop. So this grain crop, this will take all the nitrogen and will use nice amount of nitrogen. Then again the soil will lose all the nitrogen. So again we will grow one leguminous crop to have replenished this nitrogen once again. So this is how we do crop rotation. That is that we grow different crops alternatively, one by one. The next method is that we leave the field uncultivated. That is, we leave the fallow land. Fallow land is nothing but a land that is normally used for growing crops, but we left it uncultivated. We do not grow anything for just one season or for 1 year, so that the soil recovers its fertility. So what does it do is that it helps to restore the nutrients in the soil. Now let's come to our fourth agricultural practice, that is irrigation. So here is a proper definition of irrigation is that artificial application of water to the soil for the purpose of crop production is irrigation. Okay. Now, why plants require water? So, first reason is that for the proper growth and development of the parts of the plant, the fruits, flowers, seeds, leaves, all these. So, how will they grow and how will they develop? By water. The second thing is the germination of seeds. So, germination of seeds cannot take place in dry conditions, right? So, we need water so that it takes place properly. The third thing is that the nutrients which are present in the soil, they get transported to different parts of the plant with water. So, water is a medium of transportation of all these nutrients which are present in the soil. Also, water protects the crop from both frost and hot air currents. Now, what are hot air currents and frost? Frost is that when on winters there is one icy structure or snowy structure, I would say, on the leaves. Here, as you can see, this is a picture which I have put and inserted to show you what is frost. And hot air currents is loo, which we have in summers. So we cover our whole body in order to, protect ourselves from loo or hot air currents. So water also protects in the same way the crop from both frost and hot air currents. It also maintains the moisture of the soil for the healthy crop growth. Okay, what are the three main factors which on which this irrigation depends, on which the time and frequency of irrigation varies. So there are three main reasons, or three main factors, I would say. Factors is going to be one better word. The first is the type of crop. So if we are growing rice, it needs plenty of water. On the other hand, if you are growing bajra, it will need very little water. Second is the type of soil. So if the type of soil is sandy, then it will require more water because it has more percolation rate, while the clay soil will need less water. Also, third reason is the season of cultivation. If there are summers, it will require more water. Obviously, if there are winters and monsoons, the crop will require less water. Okay. Now, what are some sources of irrigation? So, we have a lot of sources, like we have wells, you have tube wells, dams, lakes, canals. These all are the sources of irrigation. Now, let's come to the methods of irrigation. So, there are two types of methods. Like we always learn, the traditional methods and the modern methods. So, the first traditional method which we are going to learn is moat, which is a pulley system. Second is the chain pump. Third is dhekli, and fourth is the rahat system. And the modern methods which are there, which is drip irrigation, sprinkler system. These two modern methods we are going to learn in our part 3. Okay. Now let's come to the traditional methods of irrigation. So the water from wells, lakes and canals is lifted up by different methods in different regions for taking it to the fields. So here what is required is cattle and human labor. Now in these methods, they are less efficient, but they are cheaper. So this is the main reason why most of the farmers use these methods, because they are cheaper. Because we do not have a lot of money to have, drip irrigation or sprinkler system. So we have these cheap methods, but less efficient methods. Now let's learn about moat. So moat is nothing but a pulley system, which is the most simplest and cheapest system which is there. So this is a manual irrigation system where we have a water source. Like here in this case, in this figure which I have drawn, this is a well. This is round shaped thing is a pulley. This is a rope. The one end of the rope is in the farmer's hand. One end is tied with a bucket. Now, water is taken out from the well with the help of a pulley. Pulley is nothing but this ring round shaped structure which is there. And then it is emptied in the channels. Channels are nothing but these vertical or horizontal lines, I would say vertical lines where we, irrigate the fields. The second is a chain pump. So this particular structure requires two, I would say, wheels, and one wheel is half dipped in the water source. There is a chain which connects these two wheels, and there are buckets attached to that chain. So these wheels rotate, the buckets fill water, and then it is collected for irrigation. The water is collected for irrigation. So this system consists of two large wheels connected by a chain. The bottom of one wheel is half dipped in the water source. As the wheel turns, the bucket dips the water and draws the water. The chain then lifts the water filled buckets to the upper wheel, where the water from these buckets is transferred to the pool. The chain then carries the empty buckets back down to the water source, and this process continues. And by the way, if you need animated videos of these all systems, then I have linked all the videos in the description box so that you can watch them and you can visualize very clearly. Now, let's come to dhekli. So, dhekli is a rope and bucket tied to one end of a wooden log. So, this is a wooden log, and at one end there is a rope, and at the end of the rope there is one bucket. Now, this bucket is dipped in the well, and at this end there is one heavy rock, I would say, and this log has this support of this fork-shaped tree. Okay. So when the seesaw goes up and down, we take water and we empty it. So a heavy counterweight example, a stone is tied at the other end of the log. Log is placed over a fork shape. Fork is nothing but a V shape. Now this is the log and this is the V shaped tree. For support, when the bucket is put down, it will take out water from well, and the farmer will put this water in his fields. The last topic for today is rahat. So rahat is nothing but chain pump, but it requires the animal labor. So Water is drawn out from wells with the help of animals. Animals like cow, buffalo, oxen, etc. are connected to a wheel and they rotate this particular, I would say, structure. They will rotate this and this will go round and round and it will collect water, which leads to drawing out of the water from well. So these are all the 4 methods. Quick summary, I would say, of these all the methods. I have drawn 3 of them because in the NCERT diagrams it's not very clear, especially for the chain pump. And these all methods, they are time consuming, they require human and animal labor, and it also leads to lots of wastage of water, which we do not want, right? We want to save water. So to prevent this wastage of water, to prevent this time consuming thing, or to prevent this human and animal labor, we have drip irrigation, that is tapak sinchai, and sprinkler system, which we are going to learn in the part 3 of the chapter. So thank you so much all of you for being with me till the end for these 20-21 minutes. I would say you have been with me. So thank you so much, and if you need any help, you can tell me in the comment sections. And the brief summary of these all sessions is given in my description box, where I have written each and every concept which we have talked about, which acts like your notes, proper notes, where each and every definition is given to you of this PPT. Also, we have self-study with Vaidehi, where you get a lot of videos for competitions, for a lot of things. We make videos, especially for science. And I hope that this small effort of ours make a great change and help you to ace your examinations. So thank you so much. Explore, learn and grow with Vaidehi, your guide to self-study. Keep learning, keep watching and keep shining. Bye-bye. See you soon.